Hello and welcome to Unacademy. I welcome you all to this session. Now, as part of this new series, I'll be covering all the high yielding areas of history, be it ancient, medieval, modern, art and culture, or world history, or post independence. And the idea is in the next 10 sessions, including this 10, 9 after this, what we'll be doing is we'll be covering every topic. For example, today, Buddhism from both the prelims and mains perspective. That is the idea here, that if you are preparing for mains right now, you should understand the following things from the context of mains. If you're a beginner or a repeater, then prelims perspective, what is expected out of this area. So remember that you have to watch each of these videos, and you have to also suggest in the comment section what areas you would want me to do beyond the 10 which I have planned. And I will take all of that into consideration. Only when you are going to say that, yes, sir, we are going, you need to do this topic, you need to do that topic, I'll do it. But I have 10 topics in mind so that your GS paper 1 and your prelims is sorted. So let's start Buddhism in that regard. Now, you'll find the PDF or the PPT of this session in this Telegram group. You just have to subscribe to that. You have to go and enroll into that. And if you want to evaluate your preparation, if you want to understand what is the type of questions which come in current affairs, or you want to be part of a certain weekly current affairs test, then the UCAN test series is launching, and the link in the description box will give you access to this UCAN test series. So I hope that you will enroll into this also. It's a free test, and you can scan this QR code to enroll also. It is in front of you on the screen. Now, let's talk about Buddhism. Now, the first concept is that why did Buddhism rise? This is from the perspective of mains, and what is the context in which Buddhism rose? Now, Buddhism rose in 6th century BCE, and before that point, there was one prevalent institutionalized religion which is called as the Vedic Brahmanism or Vedic Brahmanistic fold. Now, Vedic Brahmanism was based on the ideas of the Vedas, the gods as mentioned within the Vedas, which are henotheistic, which means that they're considered supreme, but others are not denied. These gods were invoked mostly linked to the nature also. These gods were based on a concept of what is called as sacrifices. So, rituals and sacrifices are considered the base concept on which Vedas are or Vedic Brahmanism is based on. Now, the problem with rituals and sacrifices is first, they're expensive. Second, they're exclusionary, which means not all the Varnas can do it. At the same point of time, maybe women can't do it. And the sacrifices and rituals had created a little bit of frustration within the society since its inception in the 1500 BC period. Now, 600 years of Vedic Brahmanism created a certain structure in which four Varna structure is there. There's no social mobility. It is extremely rigid. At the same point of time, ritual sacrifice, very exclusionary, very, very expensive. At the same point of time, 6th century BC is the period of rise of trade, the rise of Mahajanpadas. And these two factors play a very important role in how Vedic Brahmanism led to Buddhism to come through or Buddhism to rise along with Jainism and even Ajivikism. Ajivikism, Buddhism, Jainism, heterodox religions all came up at the same point of time because of both these factors. First, the frustration with this process. Second, at the same point of time, rise of Mahajanpadas and trade. Why? See, rise of Mahajanpadas means that there is political power getting consolidated. When political power will get consolidated, it will become big. The Kshatriyas will become very important. But the problem is, though the Kshatriya community has now got a lot of power, ritualistically they're still second to the Brahmins. At the same point of time, rise of trade means the Vaishya community, the third Varna, is going to get a lot of money. However, at the same point of time, they are still third in the ritualistic order. Therefore, there's a frustration which is building up. And these two Varnas are also going to become the constituency of these new religions, Kshatriyas and Vaishyas. Kshatriyas have power, but they don't have ritualistic status. Vaishyas have a lot of money, but they still don't have ritualistic status. They're discriminated against. And therefore, there's a lot of frustration which is building up in the economic group, in the political group, and Vedic Brahmanism, as it is very difficult to follow because it is very expensive to do. Therefore, all these factors together create the context in which now there was space for an alternative vision to what is called as moksha. Now, where does the concept of moksha come from? That is linked to a perpetual cycle. It is the cycle of birth and rebirth. The concept that you will be born, then you will die, then your soul will transmigrate to another body, then there will be a whole cycle of birth, rebirth, birth, rebirth, birth, rebirth. If you want to come out of this cycle, your soul wants to come out of this cycle, then it has to basically give up on materialistic things, renunciation. And therefore, what Vedic Brahmanism used to say was through rituals and sacrifices, you can get certain amount of punya, ritualistic merit, and then you can get moksha, which is come out of the cycle of birth and rebirth, and the soul becomes a part of God from which it came out. Now, moksha is something which all these religions also are concerning with, but the economic social background is equally important. Kshatriya, you can say frustration, Vaishya frustration, Vedic, you can say rituals, plus the degeneration of society due to money, the materialism which is happening at this point of time. There's a lot of, you can say, rich poor inequality which is rising. All create the context for an alternative path to rituals and sacrifices. That is what Buddhism, Jainism, and Ajivikism actually fill. Ajivikism is the first to do it, then Buddhism too. You can say to do it the second, but the most you can Buddhism and Jainism are both together mostly, but the Buddhist religion is going to become very popular from this point forward till the rise of Gupta period. So, in a mains perspective, from GS paper 1 perspective, and from a beginner's perspective, the question can be, because it is society is part of culture, therefore it can come in the mains examination, that why did Buddhism rise? Why did heterodox religions rise? And the answer to that question is very simple. You have materialism, moral degeneration, Vedic Brahmanistic practices, along with that, the Mahajanpadas, which meant political power, at the same point of time, rise of the Vaishya community, but both had no ritualistic status as much as they had status and power outside it. And this allows, therefore, Buddhism to rise. Now, moving out of this, then we go into an understanding which is standard, which is how did Siddhartha become Buddha? This is relevant from prelims plus what is called as state PCS perspective. You can get a question on this on some of these aspects. For example, Siddhartha was born in Lumbini. He was born to Sudodana and Maya. Comes from the Shakya clan, Kshatriya community. He is a Kshatriya himself. He is married to Yashodhara, had a son Rahula or Rahul. Now, when he was born, he had 32 marks on his body, which a Brahmin basically saw and said that if there are these 32 marks, he can become world renunciant or world conqueror. Now, because his father is a Kshatriya, obviously he would like his son to be world conqueror. And therefore, he will keep him in all happiness, all comfort, but still he was not happy. And at the age of 29, standing in his balcony, he will see four things which will change his life forever: an old man, a sick man, a corpse, and a what is called as renunciant, which is old man meaning aging cannot be stopped by money. Sick man means that disease does not look at money. A dead man means that money can't stop death. And the solution to all these problems is giving up on worldly pleasures, looking for the truth, which will give you eternal happiness and give you moksha, which is the renunciant or monk. He will sit on his horse called Kanthanka, leave the household, join the five wandering ascetics, and for the next 6 years, he will look for the truth. But the problem was the ascetics or the saints he joined, they said give up on food also. So he used to give up, he gave up on food but was not able to concentrate. And sitting under the peepal tree, one day he will be offered by Sujata kheer, which is the what we call as rice and milk, and he will have that. Once he will have that, he will then sit properly, get enlightenment. At the same point of time, Mara is a, you can say, malevolent figure, a bad figure which tries to distract her, but she distract him, but he will then attain enlightenment, and he will give the first sermon to the same five ascetics who had left him. This is at Sarnath. Therein lies the moment which Buddhism records as the Dharma Chakra Parivartana, the Dhamma, the wheel of Dharma. Dhamma, Dharma, same thing. Language is different, Sanskrit and Prakrit. The wheel of Dhamma has now changed or moved, and it is in this moment that Siddhartha become Buddha, the enlightened one. He will then, between the age of 29 to 80, then spread the message of Buddhism, and he will die at Kusinagar at the age of 80. This is basically the main, this is called the backstory. Now, UPSC has not asked questions out of the backstory, but state PCS do ask questions out of backstory. So, therefore, there's a chance you can get a question on this. Now, once that is done, there are three aspects here. When Buddha gets enlightened, Dharma Chakra Parivartana has happened, the wheel of Dharma has happened. Now, there are three things which will emerge out of it. One is called the Three Ratan, the Four Noble Truths, and the Eightfold Path. This is basically the main concept. Now, the Three Ratan of Buddhism is nothing but Buddha, his teachings, and the Sangha, the monastic order, the monk order, the monks who will get associated with him, they are called the Sangha. So the three Ratans of Buddhism, this is again pure prelims territory, and you can get questions out of this. What are the three Ratans of Buddhism, Jainism? Jainism is different, Buddhism is this. Buddha is teaching, Sangha. Now, at the same point of time, he, when he got the enlightenment, got to know about what is called as the Atriya Sachais, which is, or the Arya Sachais, which is the four noble truths. What is the noble truths? First, there is suffering. There is cause for that suffering. This suffering can be removed. And how will it be removed? The Ashtang Marg. Again, pure prelims territory, can get a prelims question, and UPSC has not touched these areas till this point. High yielding area, but not touched these areas till this point. Now, based on that, basically, he now knows four truths. And the conclusion of that truth is, if you want to remove the cause of suffering, which is the real problem in life, you have to follow the eightfold path. Now, what is the eightfold path? The eightfold path includes the following: visa, lems. This is again very important for prelims, which is right view, right intention, right speech, right action, right livelihood, right effort, right mindfulness, right samadhi. Now, what does this mean? See, per se, UPSC has not asked a question on what is the eightfold path. But see, right here, word right here means good, right view towards things. But the intention should also be correct. What you say should also be good. What you do is also good, because there can be incongruence between intention, action, and speech. At the same point of time, your livelihood should be good. Your effort should be in the right direction. You should be thinking in the right way. That is livelihood, effort, and mindfulness. And last but not the least is right meditative practice. Meaning, when you are going to meditate in the right way, then all these things will come to you. Now, obviously, if you want more details about this, you can refer to any standard book. But as of right now, the understanding is that UPSC has not created a pattern for us to know that if they will go into the minor details. But if they ask a question on what is the eightfold path, we can at least answer it through this acronym, and we understand what this word right means per se. Right means per se. Now, this is these three things, which is the story, the eightfold path, the four noble truths, and the three ratans. The three ratans, as they call. This is all very, very, you can say, uh, relevant for prelims, but also factual. Because it is factual, prelims plus state PCS, you can easily get questions out of this area. But where the real concept lies is what is the base ideology? Because this can come in the mains examination. Now, when we talk about mains orientation, you have to understand that Buddhism based itself in the idea of what is called as Krishna, that there is desire. Desire causes suffering. That is what Ashtang Marg removes. And there is a dependent origin of desire and suffering, meaning one produces the other. You want to clear UPSC, that is desire, that creates this suffering, which is called UPSC preparation. So therefore, if you don't have desire, you will not have suffering. So therefore, desire suffering now becomes the interdependent concept, which is called the law of dependent origin. Now the goal of Buddhism is nibbana, a term which has come in the examination directly. Terms are very, very important, have come in the examination. Nibbana is a word which has come in the examination previously. Nibbana means the extinction of the flame of desire, where you basically have no desire, no greed, no attachment, no hatred, no ignorance. And this will allow you to break the birth, death, rebirth cycle. How do you do it? Ashtang Marg, eightfold path. And nibbana does not mean physical death, it means death of desire. However, there are two words, parinibbana and mahaparinibbana. Now, parinibbana and mahaparinibbana refer to an enlightened one. Mahaparinibbana is Buddha dying, which happened at Kushinagar. Parinibbana means if a monk dies, it is called parinibbana. That is basically death per se in physical form. But nibbana as a word, if you actually Google it, it will say nibbana is the Prakrit word for nirvana. But nirvana is more closer to moksha or salvation than to the extinction of flame of desire. So therefore, etymologically, it is a little bit confusing. I will not say it isn't, but it is. But nibbana, parinibbana, mahaparinibbana. Nibbana is desire being removed. Parinibbana is the death of an enlightened one. Mahaparinibbana is the death of Buddha himself. Now, when it comes to terms, very, very, very important. I have list of the first set of terms which you cannot ignore. For example, we have Trishna, we have Nibbana, Mahaparinibbana, and Parinibbana. Then you have Uposatha, which is a member of the Sangha living in a locality where supposed to gather every fortnight in the new moon, full moon, to recite the Patimokha rules and confess if they had broken any. Meaning, Patimokha rules are basically what are the rules for monks. So every fortnightly, every 14 to 15 days, they will basically come together and discuss if they broke it or not. Then, Dharma Chakra Parivartana, we know it is the wheel of Dhamma turning because Buddha got enlightenment. Further, Anicca, impermanence, meaning everything is non-permanent. You will die, everything will die. Then you have the Samupada, which is dependence, law of dependent origin, as we discussed. You don't need to know their pronunciation, but you need to know what they mean because it will be given in the examination. You just have to basically give the meaning. Then you have Upadana, which is attachment to things. Then you have Avidya, which is ignorance, standard words. Then the Pravajya ceremony. Pravajya is when a person leaves his household to become an ascetic. Then you have Upasampada, which is the ordination ceremony when a novice becomes a full-fledged member, meaning Pravajya is the act of moving out. This is when you join the monastic order. Then Upasak Upasika, a person who becomes a follower of Buddhism, male Upasak, Upasika, a person who is a woman follower. Arhat is a word who is a person who knows the eightfold path, but per se is not a follower of Buddhism. Like you and me have become arhats. And when a person joins the Sangha and he becomes without Varna, it is called Vevaniyanti. Now, understand one thing. Buddhism, in principle, condemns the caste and the Varna system both, but it is also that it is conservative because Buddha only allowed women to enter the Sangha when his aunt insisted. Further, when it comes to Shudras, very rare you can say have instances of them joining the Sangha itself. It is more catering towards Kshatriya and Vaishyas, the two frustrated communities at that point of time. It is not revolutionary, but it is at least breaking the norms of Vedic Brahmanism. And these words are very important for the examination generally. Then, one important tangent here is called the Buddhist Councils, meaning what is Buddhism? I hope I have answered. Plus, what are the important terms? I have answered that also. At the same point of time, I have also answered the need for Buddhism. That is also done. We have also discussed what is Eightfold Path. That is also done. We also have understood what is the base ideology. That is also done. This area is both prelims and mains oriented, but the most amount of questions have come out of Buddhism and its offshoots, or what are called as sects or splits, if you want to put. Now, there were four Buddhist councils: one, two, three, four. Now, first, let me discuss the basic contours and then we can go into details. First Buddhist council happened in 486 BCE, considered to be the date of death of Buddha, but there is a lot of contemplation on that. In this, Vinay Pitak and the Sutta Pitak were written. Pitak means book. The canonical text, the rule book of Buddhism, is called the T Pitak. Two of those T, meaning three Pitaks, two of those books have now been created. Vinay Pitak is the rule book of monks. At the same point of time, Sutta Pitak is nothing but the sayings or what Buddha said. Now, in the first Buddhist council, books have been written. In the second Buddhist council, there is a differentiation on Vinay Pitak, meaning there's a disagreement over Vinay Pitak. One group says that Vinay Pitak needs to be changed. One group says that it does not need to change because it is too difficult or not difficult. The group which says it does not need to change is called the Theravada or Theravadin, and the one which says that it needs to change because it is too difficult to follow, it needs to be diluted, is called the Mahasangika. Now, this is where the first split happens. The first split of Buddhism happens in the second Buddhist council, where Theravada will be the one which will follow original Vinay Pitak. They believe that Arhat and casual people cannot get salvation. Mahasangika will say that no, we need to dilute the Vinay Pitak so that we have a better rule book, and at the same point of time, people can follow it. And they wanted to basically compete with the rise of other forms of religions. Therefore, they needed to dilute their understanding. Now, the Mahasangika then meets at the third Buddhist council, one of the most celebrated ones, where they will write the third book, which is called the Tipitaka being completed. The book is called as the Abhidhamma Pitaka. Abhidhamma Pitak is nothing but what Sutta Pitak said. It is the interpretation of it, meaning what did Buddha mean by what he was saying. So you can see odd numbers 1 and 3 are books, and you will see 2 and 4 are splits. This is the trick to learn this. Why? Because in the third Buddhist council, there will again, between third and fourth, there will be a disagreement which will rise over who is Buddha. Over who is Buddha. Meaning, one group will say that Buddha is a teacher. One group will say that Buddha is God. He is God himself. Teacher are called as the Hinayanic Buddhist, and the ones who believe that Buddha was incarnation of God himself, they are called Mahayanic. This is the second split which happens. Second split. And out of Mahayanic, eventually you will get Vajrayanic. You will get Vajrayanic. The three major, rather the four majors, one, two, three, and four, the four major sub schools of Buddhism. Now, Mahayanic said Buddha is God, so therefore idol worship. They said Bodhisattvas are important. Bodhisattvas are Buddha's disciples who delayed their enlightenment and Mahaparinibbana or Nibbana so as to give you salvation. And there's deification of Buddha. This came in the examination. At the same point of time, they would worship Buddha through symbols. And at the same point of time, Hinayanic said Buddha is a good teacher, not God himself. So will not do idol worship. Now, this is basically what is the council concept. If you can remember this first, then you can write any prelims question also. And you can write any mains question also when it comes to GS paper 1. But let's add certain details for state PCS. For example, 486 BC, Rajgir, Ajat Shatru is the one who's presiding. The one who is the presiding monk is called Mahakassapa. Sutta Pitak, Vinay Pitak comes up. We know that. Second Buddhist Council, 386, exactly 100 years later, under Kalasoka. Monk is Shabakambi. And difference of opinion on what is the Vinay Pitak. Orthodox, Theravadin or Theravada school. Unorthodox, the Mahasangika, which will later become nothing but the Hinayanic and Mahayanic. Third council happens under the celebrated Ashoka, the best upasak which Buddhism ever got, presided by Moggaliputta. Abhidhamma Pitak is written, philosophical teaching, and missions will be sent across to spread Buddhism. Fourth Buddhist council is in Kashmir under Kanishka, but now two men will be there. Vasumitra and Ashwaghosha. Difference is one says one is God, the other one says Buddha is a teacher. And this is where now we get four major schools. Theravada is the oldest school of Buddhism. Vinay Pitak in original form, laymen cannot get any form of salvation. They don't complicate it. The least popular in Buddhism. Then you have Mahayanic Buddhism, the most popular. Deification, idol worship, Bodhisattva. Bodhisattva concept is very central to Mahayanic Buddhism, and therefore this table becomes very important. UPSC has already asked a question out of Maitreyi and Avalokeshwar. These men and women are nothing but monks who stayed back, compassionate beings who stayed back, delayed their enlightenment, delayed their parinibbana, so that you and me could get something out of life. So they are the compassionate one. So Avalokeshwar is called Bodhisattva Padampani, and out of the three protective deities is the principal one, Buddha, along with three subsidiary gods. First is Avalokeshwar. He is the compassionate being. He is the compassion of Buddha. Then you have Vajrapani, who is the protective, again deity. He manifests all the powers of Buddha and all five Tathagats, who basically represent in Vajrapani. Thereafter, Manjushri, the third of the protective deities, symbolism of wisdom of Buddha, has a sword in his hand. He is called Padampani because he has a lotus in his hand. Then you have Shantabhadra, who is the associated with practice of medicine, and along with Buddha and Manjushri, also is the Sakyamuni Trinity. Then you have Shistagarbha, who is the monk who has taken the vow to not achieve Buddhahood until hell is completely empty. Interesting. Maitreyi is future Buddha. Laughing Buddha is an incarnation. This came in the examination. Who is the future Buddha? Then Akasagarbha, who is the associated with the element of space. Tara, who is the principal deity in Vajrayanic Buddhism, who is linked to virtue of success. Tantra Mantra, Vajrayanic. Vasudhara, associated with wealth, prosperity, abundance. Skanda, the protector of the Viharas. Sita Patra, protector against supernatural dangers. Now, if you are wondering where you can get all of this, obviously you will get it in the courseware on Indian history. A lot of you had been asking in the comment section. The second edition is now live on Amazon. And if you want, if you will comment, I will give you the link in the comment section of the second edition. Second edition is out. All of this is systematically given in the courseware also. You can also refer to RS Sharma, but it is very, very, you can say, scattered in that regard. So the courseware second edition is also now live, and we'll discuss about that separately. Now, Hinayanic Buddhism, because it is associated with what is called as the concept of symbols, they use certain symbols to basically represent Buddha. So you have lotus, the Dharma Chakra, the Stupa, the Triratan, the Naga, the deer, the Dhwaja, the Chhatras, and they will not do idol worship, but they will worship his symbols. They believe he was a good teacher, should not be deified. Then comes the most interesting, which is called Vajrayanic Buddhism. Both Hinayanic and Mahayanics follow the Eightfold Path. Then certain set of monks said that we are frustrated by the fact that it takes time. So Tantricism, which was now at this point of time entering into even into Vedic Brahmanism, it will enter into the Buddhist fold, and Vajrayanic Buddhism will come, the thunderbolt vehicle, Tantra Mantra, and the worship of Tara, who is going to give us success through hymns, through mantras, through the process of meditation with these mantras. We will be able to bypass this whole A-fold path and get salvation. Vajrayanic Buddhism is very common across the whole, you can say, Himalayan sector in India. Most of the monks and most of the monasteries are Vajrayanic. Mahayanic is the second most important and most common across the world itself. Hinayanic and Theravada are third and fourth when it comes to percentage of population in that regard. Now, based on UPSC pattern, now two things more other than this have become important. One is called Mudras, and the other one is called as symbolism, which is called as Buddhist iconography. Now, when we talk about the mudras, now again from the courseware directly, second edition, you have the mudras. Now, mudras have certain meaning. You have to learn this now, because UPSC can ask this, even state PCS and prelims orientation they can ask. For example, what is Bhumi Sparsha mean? Dhanya Mudra mean? Vikara, the Abhay Mudra mean? Like that. So this is something which you can take a screenshot of if you want to right now, but this you have to learn. Similarly, out of the second edition of the courseware itself, we have Buddhist symbolism, and directly a question came out of this. What does the empty seat mean? Direct question after 2026. But because now it has been established as a pattern, the whole list is here. Again, you can take a screenshot, learn one each day. What does Buddhist symbolism mean? What does each of these symbols actually mean? And therefore, UPSC can, if they repeat this question maybe after 1 year, 2 year, or 3 year, you can get one consolidated resource. Now, what is Buddhism? What are the Buddhist sects? What are the different, you can say, sub-genres? What is mudras? And what are the bodhisattvas? At the same point of time, what are the symbols and their meaning? I have discussed all of this with you in the past half an hour. Now, there is one more topic which is linked to this, which is mains orientation, art and cultural representation of Buddhism. Now, I don't want you to first get caught up in this video itself. I will, in this series itself, discuss architecture and evolution of architecture. In that, when it comes to Buddhism, Buddhism had first cave architecture as manifestation, then pillar, then stupa, and then again viharas and chaityas as manifestations of what is called as the concept of architecture. It will become too heavy for one session. I will discuss evolution of architecture within this session, within this series itself. Therefore, this you have to look out for, because what I'll do is I'll do Buddhism, Jainism, and its manifestation of architecture under that only, art and architecture, where we have Ajanta, Ellora, the concept of stupa, stupa architecture, evolution, what are the components of stupa, what is the pillars. So what I will do is, today I have done Buddhism. In the next session, I will do Jainism. Then I will do architecture. Then I will move towards modern India, where I would like to go into the concept of what is called as the national movement and certain sections. Meaning, I want to do it in 3 to 4 parts, where I'm going, for example, 1919 to 23, then 23 to 30, 30 to 40, like that. So I'll cover everything systematically for you. But Buddhism, very high yielding area. State PCS, UPSC generally. Jainism, equally important. So the next session on Monday, most probably on Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, you'll get this session. I hope you will join me. You will watch it. You will like it. You will also share it. And you will also comment if you're liking this initiative, what is the purpose of it. And at the same point of time, you will also tell me what you want me to cover other than the 10 topics I have in my mind, because sometimes you can also give me good ideas. Now, last but not the least, a lot of you have been commenting second edition courseware, where it is. Now it is available on Amazon. You want the link, just comment link in the comment section. I will share it with you. So thank you. I hope that you like this initiative. I will keep on doing this and make sure that you are mains and prelims ready for 2027. Thank you. Take care.